Hey there! Did you know Kroger always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower-than-low prices? And when you download the Kroger app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Kroger today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Introducing Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Icon of the Seas, the ultimate family vacation. The ultimate 6 slides, 8 neighborhoods, 0 compromise vacation. The ultimate never done that, can't wait to do it vacation. The ultimate chillin' by a different pool every day of the week vacation. This is the Icon of vacations. Icon of the Seas, arriving in 2024. Book today. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
Again, hockey fans, are you ready to brave the wild? With me, your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Brave the Wild is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, PodMN, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Audible, Stitcher, Double Twist. Audible's really nice, by the way. I just kind of really tried it out for real yesterday. That's really good. But it's on all of them. Thank you once and always for joining me today. It's a great pleasure to be back on board talking hockey. Once again, it's going to be 2 games to review, 3 games to preview, but playing the same team twice, back-to-back, in Chicago and in XL Energy Center. I think we have an idea how those usually go, and I don't mean getting swept, but you get the idea. You might get the idea. Wild crushed Anaheim and then they were getting crushed by Colorado and hung in there tight and wound up with the point. So 3 out of 4 ain't bad, eh? Not bad, not bad. This show is going to kind of, Brave the Wild kind of tends to evolve a bit, kind of adjust to situations. I guess my other shows do as well. And sometimes the show is permanent evolutions and other just random ones and this and that. This is obviously not a permanent one, but it's like there's a lot of fan interaction today. So, of course, I'm going to try my best not to babble too much on the game reviews. Of course, there's only 2 to review and 2 teams to preview. So I should be able to squeeze that in pretty good without going over the top babbling. But Kirill Kaprizov returns right away. Of course, both Canadian games didn't take place, Winnipeg and Edmonton, which is a bummer. I would have loved to see those. They will take place, though. But when? July 4th? I mean, come on, let's go. There's no plan. Which is annoying, and they keep postponing Canadian games. I agree with Judd Zulgad on that one. Play the games, and believe me, he's on the opposite side of the equation as me when it comes to all of this as well, and he's still saying play the games. Think about that. So, yeah, I'm on Hellebuck's side, if you know what I mean. I better shut up. Chemistry's been building with Boldy and Fiala. It is absolutely beautiful. Boldy and Fiala. It's been building in a nice way. It's kind of a perfect match. It kind of is, and actually they were together with Sturm early with Anaheim. A lot of times it ends up being your buddy Goudreau. But yeah, Sturm, that's kind of, wasn't that who I mentioned a while back? Nico Sturm? I think it was because of the speed. Goudreau can skate a bit as well. Rask is the odd man out when it comes to that. Yet every time Rask is on the brink of being sent down or whatever, he winds up, he gets sent out. He winds up scoring a goal. So go figure. Yes, he scored. Yep, Victor Rask he's one of those guys. Like, wait, you doubted me. I'm here. He's one of those kind of guys. Kirill Kaprizov just continues to pound away at the points. Ryan Hartman, Zuccarello all pounding away again. Multiple points for each player. Zuccarello, the leader there with multiple goals. Pretty cool. Almost had a hat trick. Almost did. 3 points for him, 2 goals, 1 assist. 1 goal, 1 assist for Hartman. Hartman every single night. And then Kirill Kaprizov, 2 assists. A name that was brought up Yes, I'm going to reference Judd and Declan Goff a bit today because, well, I mean, I like their work and we think alike on a lot of things when it comes to hockey. It just seems like their show probably is the closest to my opinion. Though, of course, Soda Pod, there's some good ones there too. But they're comparing, well, Judd is anyway because of the age difference. My age group does remember Dave Gagne. Dave Gagne of the New York Rangers before he got traded to the Minnesota North Stars, or the North Stars traded for him. However view you want to look at it. I would hope the North Stars traded for him. How Dave Gagne was a first-round pick who'd been a bit disappointing. This wasn't a whole lot to write home about. Comes to the Minnesota North Stars and gets, it starts scoring a bit, and keeps moving up a bit. And next thing you know, it's the Dave Gagne a lot of younger North Star fans remember. That became a damn good player and helped the North Stars go on that Cup final run and was a good player all the way until they moved to Dallas and actually stayed a good player a while after that. He actually looked like a first-round pick. Could that be what's happening with Ryan Hartman, who is on pace on January 20th, a day that will live in infamy, in my opinion? I'll leave that alone. Ryan Hartman, I'm just messing around. I'm sorry. As of January the 20th, I'm messing around. I'll stop. Is on pace for 39 goals. See, it's one thing. It's like November 11th, it's, Veterans Day or whatever. And, because there's always little days during the year, you can pinpoint like, okay, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving Day, Christmas, Valentine's, New Year's, whatever, Martin Luther King Day, which is basically this week. When you're that far into the season and you're still on pace for 39 goals, it's starting to mean something a little bit. Like 30 on pace for 39 goals on Veterans Day doesn't mean a whole lot. Odds are things are going to kind of even out and and all that. Averages will rule at the end of the day. But Ryan Hartman is becoming an honest to God hell of a player, and it's really nice to see. Really nice to see. You put him with the right people, he gains confidence. He's underpaid. That's okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ryan Hartman. But for him to play as well as he has, it's been a beautiful, beautiful thing. Really appreciate what he's been doing. Speaking of projections, Kirill Kaprizov is back on pace to 103 points on the season. We have a potential 100-point player on the Minnesota Wild roster. I hope it happens. We've never even had a 90-point guy. I think what the all-time was it 83 by Mr. Eric Stahl. I know Gabrick at 82. He had a 40-goal season, 42 goals. I believe he had 82 points. And then it was like 1 point difference, 1 goal difference for Eric Stahl years ago. I could be wrong. I could look at that up again in a little bit. But it's not an immediate necessity. I just know Stahl had more. But he had like a point more, basically. And Kirill Kaprizov could be on his way. Fiala has been playing better and better, and I've always thought he could be a 90-point type of guy who could actually outscore Gabrick and Eric Stahl, given the right situation and such. And with Matt Boldy on the other side there, on the other wing, this could be something. There's something's building, and it's really nice to see, which is going to continue to generate more conversation as we move forward. Guys like Kalen Addison will continue to generate conversation moving forward. Of course, he had the least amount of ice time in the Ducks game. But then we head to Colorado. And again, you'll hear a little clip from Judd Zulgad a bit coming up as well. That kind of starts the debate, the Fiala-Dumba debate, which is a big topic on this episode. So it just kind of was like, you know what? The conversation is out there. I've been hearing it. And it's like something I've been thinking about as well. It's been kind of floating around in my mind all season. And then it's like, let's apply this on Twitter. And the response that was given from that one question to see just how active a lot of you are on there and how willing you were to respond is a great appreciation. And why not make the show about you guys? Because that's what it should be. As I continue to babble them away, and I apologize for that. Fiala scores again against the Colorado Avalanche. This again was Martin Luther King Day. And God bless Martin Luther King. Kirill Kaprizov, multiple goals. Again, Kevin Fiala also scored again, but a 4-3 officially. They call it 4-3, but of course went to the shootout. Looked like the Wild were going to get demolished. It looked like it was going to be 8-0 Colorado. A la some rotten games in the past for Minnesota North Stars and not Wild. We'll leave that alone. 7-1, whatever. Imagine Darcy Kemper's back in our net again, and if he was, probably would have been 7-1. Probably. Yeah, that's just the way I see the world. Capo Kakinen was freaking awesome. Able to hang in there and keep the Wild only down by 2. The most dangerous lead in hockey as the Wild tied it up. And then the infamous Nathan MacKinnon goal. Again, of course, Fiala from Boldy. Again, just unbelievable chemistry. And, of course, the continued chemistry that never ends with Kaprizov and Zuccarello. Mostly on Kaprizov's shot, though. Just the release in his shot. Absolutely gorgeous. Zuccarello, people believe he will have he's going to have a career year in points, and I think so, too. He had a 61-point season with the New York Rangers. I think he's going to pass that, as long as he stays healthy in multiple ways, of course. Kirill Kaprizov, though, multi-goal game and back on pace to 103 points. The Nathan MacKinnon goal is the controversial one, where the puck was under there somewhere. I think it was a goal, okay, to be fair. I'm not a flat-out fanboy, but the rule is, well, indisputable evidence that the puck crossed the line. If the puck was completely invisible the entire time, that's not indisputable evidence to overturn the call, which is initially no goal. So that's I can completely see that argument. And, luckily, as they say in basketball, ball don't lie. Less than a minute later, Kirill Kaprizov, another one-timer, powerful shot from Mets Zuccarello for his 16th goal of the season. He is tied with Ryan Hartman. He has been catching up, as great as Hartman has been all season. Kirill Kaprizov has caught up with Ryan Hartman in total goals. And, it just feels so good to see. It feels so good to see him catch up with Hartman, even though you want Hartman to have all the success in the world, which is absolutely great. But it's just been a long journey. Kirill Kaprizov with a slow start in the goals category, but still making great plays for everybody and still looking great. Obviously, he didn't have a perfect start to the season. But to think, despite the imperfect start to the season, slow start, inconsistent, blah, 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 probably because of the holdout didn't help, that lasted up until training camp. Things ended up finally coming together, leading the club in assists by a mile with 28. Even, he's got 7 more assists than Mats Zuccarello, which is absolutely great. And plus the fact he missed one game. He missed one game with an injury that looked like it had the potential to say, "Oh, well, better luck next year, kid." That kind of thing. I mean, unbelievable. 10 more points than games played, and he's missed one game this year. I mean, it's just, what more is there to say? It's absolutely freaking cool. It's an honor. It's a pleasure to cover Kirill Kaprizov, even from afar. Well, Golden Valley, Minnesota, but I'm not. I don't have credentials and all that. I don't have my media credentials. I'm not in the locker room or on the Zoom calls or anything. But I'd like to do that someday. But if it's one of those things, if it happens, it happens. I can't expect it to happen. I have to do my part as well. And, well, that's how it goes. But an unfortunate loss. Wild head into the shootout. Despite the beautiful comeback, the grittiness, the heart of this club, you head into, it's unbelievable, you head into the shootout and just nothing goes in. And of course, Kemper went out. I guarantee if Kemper didn't go out with a possible, concussion or something like that, looked like it could have been when Greenway crashed into him. Francouz was absolutely great the rest of the game, to be quite fair, even though he didn't give up 2 goals. And all that. And to be fair, Kemper was actually better in this game than he has been most of the season. But Wild could not score on multiple attempts. Kaprizov, Fiala, unable to finish. Zuccarello, unable to finish. It's like, damn, he actually stopped all 3 of them. And Kakinen gave up the goal, unfortunately, right before Kaprizov's attempt. And, well, Wild ended up with only 1 point. Frickin' Colorado. So that kind of led to me being a little ticked off on Twitter for a minute. But then that's just all there was to say there. Wild get a point out of it at least, which is nice in a game that odds are the Wild probably shouldn't have gotten a point. And in the past, they probably wouldn't have. Both clubs now have 3 overtime losses. Colorado not too far ahead of Minnesota, despite the fact the standings themselves, the Wild are way below Colorado, but not too many points behind. And, of course, there's possibility of games in hand with certain teams and such. It's basically a 1-0-1 week, you can call it. 3 out of 4 points. So 3 out of 4 Ain't bad. The Mike Madonna Award winner for this episode is... it's going to be Kirill Kaprizov. Absolutely great week. Obviously, just putting up the numbers. But Boldy, Fiala, honorable mention. Zuccarello, honorable mention. Amazing run by those guys. Who do you give the James Shepard Memorial to? Connor DeWare. No, it's not going to be Connor DeWare. Maybe Greenway. He's been more and more invisible again. I don't know. It was kind of a bummer the way he got absolutely destroyed in the fight as well. McDermott. Yeah, that was a bummer. Got absolutely killed in that fight. That was a bummer. But yeah, he's becoming more and more of a non-factor again. It's not a harsh complaint going his direction. Just not seeing enough. That's kind of how I see it at that point. With that, we'll take a quick break and we'll get to the Fiala debate coming up pretty soon. That'll actually be in fan interaction. The fan interaction is going to kind of lead the way. So I'll keep this first segment pretty short for now. We are back. Let's preview the 3 games, but 2 teams coming up. So again, that makes it a little easier and quicker, I suppose. The Minnesota Wild will be playing a home-and-home with Chicago Blackhawks. So we finally get to play the Blackhawks again. They are 15, 18, and 6 on the season. Friday night in United Center, the home that Michael Jordan built. But you could argue years later, Patrick Kane, Jonathan Toews helped a little bit with the construction as well, or maybe some renovations. Well, let's leave it at that. Chicago 3-1 in their last 5. The Edmonton game was postponed. That's the most recent one. Would have been a back-to-back with Seattle and Edmonton, but unfortunately not meant to be. Chicago very much out of the playoff picture because of the horrible start. And they saw Fleury and such. Minnesota has not played Chicago in quite a while, and I didn't miss them that much last year because it felt like we played them too much in the past. You get sick of them, and obviously just I don't know all the BS, but all the BS in the matchup over the years, particularly in the postseason, which can wear just about anybody out and make you depressed and make you frustrated, kind of like electronic devices at times when you think they're doing something and they're not doing it. That's annoying. Seeing something in the background here. It's not related to the show. I apologize. Chicago, well, 28th in goals. Chicago's 28th in goals. Yeah, well, does tell you the glory days are long over. Goals against 24th. Glory days for Fleury, too, after a terrible start to the season, but he's gotten better generally. Shooting percentage, yeah, I mean, Wild are still 3rd in the league, which is crazy. Guys like Ryan Hartman have certainly helped. Power play. The Minnesota Wild are definitely inferior there. Blackhawks 18th, Wild 24th. It's not that big of a difference, but penalty kill, the Wild are better than the Blackhawks. Again, Wild started off the season with a historically bad penalty kill. Now we're right in the middle at 16th, Chicago 26th. So take advantage. Something's got to give. Let's improve that power play percentage a little bit. And penalty minutes were certainly less disciplined than the Blackhawks. They're 12th in terms of the least, and we're 24th in terms of we have too many. That kind of silliness. 4-game series, of course, back to back. Then Feb 2nd, we play them again in about 10 days or so. And then March 19th is the rubber match in Xcel Energy Center. So again, it's basically back and forth. This is probably the way to go. Chicago, Minnesota. So there you go. Toews and Kane and Toews. Will be another hat trick for Patrick. Remember those days? Every time the guy had the puck by himself, it's like he's going to score. Oh yeah, he scored. And that's the name that a lot of people come up with when you compare Patrick Kane, or you compare Kirill Kaprizov to another star player. It comes back as Patrick Kane, and that's a pretty good honor. And it's funny considering what a goal-scoring stud Patrick Kane was most of his career. Now, to just take a look, 35 games, 9 goals, but 26 assists. So Kirill Kaprizov-ish in that sense. But Kirill Kaprizov actually has more points than Patrick Kane. And I failed to mention last week, and I've almost failed to mention this week, Kirill Kaprizov will be in his first NHL All-Star game right out of the gate here. Only the second year in the league, but he is 24 years of age. We've heard that a lot too. So it's like he's a little more ripe and ready to roll than the average like rookie and such. Kirill Kaprizov makes the All-Star game. Cam Talbot makes the All-Star game, despite numbers that don't jump out at you. He's been good, but he's also been not so good, Cam Talbot. He's more of a league average type of goalie. God bless him. We love him to death, and he's had some great moments, and he's made some saves that the Devin Dubnyks, Darcy Kempers, Alex Stalox just wouldn't do. Kaapo Kähkönen has absolutely been doing that as well. He was pretty damn good. The other two games, he was also an honorable mention, I thought, in the two-game ditty this past week. But let's digress back to the Chicago Blackhawks, if humanly possible. I'm not sure it is humanly possible. No, Alex DeBrincat, if I ever say it correctly. I call him DeBrincat, and Cat DeBrin, and I've messed it up 100,000 times. He's got 23 goals in the season. He's basically the anti-Kane, I guess, in a way. 23 goals, 9 assists. Go figure. Everybody's a minus something. Patrick Kane's a minus 15. DeBrincat's a minus 9. Seth Jones, who was a nice acquisition, and a lot of us thought. And numbers are good, but minus 11, that's not good when you're a defenseman. So, I mean, you just got to be honest. It took about 20 games for Jonathan Toews to finally, start scoring a little bit. He's only got 18 and 39. He is not the Jonathan Toews we remember. He's, kind of like Parise the last couple of years. Kind of, not really. Not quite that big of a drop-off. But in a lot of ways, it's been a huge drop-off considering what Jonathan Toews was for so long. Time flies. Both of them born in the late 80s, so it's not like they're that old, but they're older now. And, well, it's time for guys like DeBrincat and such to kind of gradually take over. Kirby Dach is an adequate player. Doesn't stand out in a huge way, in my opinion. Others may disagree. Again, horrible start to the season for Fleury, which did not help the Blackhawks' cause. They were like, oh God, what were they? They were like the last team to win a game, if I remember correctly. That's how bad that it was for Chicago. So they built a pretty big hole, dug a pretty big hole for themselves. Marc-Andre Fleury, though, respectable numbers, 2.69 goals against average. I mean, that's kind of league average-ish. Save percentage is a little above that, not too far under 92 with 91.6, and then the 3 shutouts have been big. 3 overtime losses haven't helped. Lankinen, who had been such a good, strong backup, who could be a platoon goalie, I thought, has fallen off the map, giving up about 3.5 goals a game and save percentage around 88. That's rotten numbers. It sucks. It is what it is, though. Fleury missed a few games with the COVID nonsense, and that's where you get some of the other guys getting a little bit of action, including Lankinen, of course. Blackhawks definitely struggled during that time. Because Fleury's the only legitimate goalie on the roster right now with the way things have gone with Lankinen. It looked like a team that could be super dangerous, but they're just not. The Wild need to take advantage and sweep this series. They need to do it, but they won't. I don't think the Wild are going to sweep the Blackhawks, unfortunately. I think the Blackhawks win in their house, the Wild win in our house. That's just how I see it at the moment. It may be a lame prediction, but it's the most likely scenario. I mean, the Wild winning in Chicago doesn't happen that much. And oftentimes we've had some good, solid games against Chicago and Minnesota in the regular season. In the postseason, it's been pretty much New York Yankees versus Twins-like when it comes to Wild Blackhawks. This is not a fanboys podcast for somebody that might be a new listener. As let's just say there's collaboration out there that may happen where you might hear multiple podcasts doing short clips. I'm just kind of throwing up a hint out there that something may happen. And some people are fanboys, some people are not, and this one is not. I'll just leave it at that. Certain shows are fanboys, and you know what? If that's what you want, then that's what you get, you know? I have a fanboy side to me at times. Like, that should have been a goal, damn it, you know? But, like there should not have been a goal, the Colorado goal, Nathan McKinnon. But you're not going to get the fanboy side. You're going to get the realistic, the realist side, who some people may call more critical at times. But when you get your butt kicked in the postseason by the same flippin' team over and over and over again, well, it deserves conversation. It does. And that's how I see the world. Wild lose to Chicago in the first game, unfortunately. Final score, low scoring. 3-1. 3-1 Blackhawks get an empty netter or something like that. But 3-1, 3-2, that kind of thing. And the guy to score in the game will be Kirill Kaprizov. No, actually, the first game, let's say Matt Dumba. The next game will be Kirill Kaprizov. Wild win 4-2 over Chicago in Xcel Energy Center. Kirill Kaprizov, another multi-point game. It's pretty easy prediction, isn't it? But a multi-point game, one of them will be goals, but at least one assist as well, or something like that, or maybe multiple goals, whatever the heck. If you're not Wild fans, the Montreal Canadiens are on the horizon. Rem Pitlick and the Montreal Canadiens come to Xcel Energy Center because it's in Xcel Energy Center. It's not in Canada, so we can actually play. See, if it's in Canada, you gotta just say no. Just say no. Follow that. Say no to playing hockey in Canada or something like that. The Canadiens don't score goals and they give up a ton. Boy, that's bad. It all sums up to they're the worst team in the league. Just look at this. Just look at it. Well, just listen, I guess. But you can always pull it up yourself. I suppose. Holy moly, man! 31st in goals with only 82 on the entire season. Goals against 32nd. Yes, they've allowed a lot, and they don't score. It's like they lose. Their average final score is like 5-1. No, it's not that bad, but probably like 4-2. Which that's the average final score in every game. It's pretty bad. They're 31st in assists. They are 32nd in shooting percentage at 7.5%. They get a ton of penalty minutes, a ton. Their penalty kill is 28th. Their power play is 32nd. So the Wild will lose 5-1, right? Just watch. We lose 5-1. Yeah, well, you better not. Just don't, okay? Don't be idiots. Win the game. And I'm not trying to be a jerk. Just win the freaking game. I should backtrack very briefly. Of course, now I'm getting the white screen of void here. Look at the injury situation for Chicago. See, now I'm babbling and taking forever. Kirby Doc, COVID protocol. Brett Connolly, COVID protocol. Dylan Strome, COVID protocol. Okay. And again, Bugler with probably a broken finger, upper body type of thing. Brodin, upper body. He's out for like 4 weeks or something. Which sucks. Bukestad was 6 weeks. It's probably a bit less now. I think it's 5, something like that. 4 or 5. Can't tell about lower body, and we don't know. Probably a groin. Now let's get to Montreal's injury/sickness. God, this thing is weird. Before I babble way too much, Cole Caulfield and become like another show out there that I don't necessarily recommend sometimes, but not always. Cole Caulfield, COVID-19 protocol. Of course, it's an individual show. It's not the whole podcast feed. Joel Armia, right wing COVID protocol. Cedric Parquet, Le Poisson. Okay, sorry, undisclosed injury. These are all as of January, so they're very recent, of course. COVID protocol, so we probably won't see Cole Caulfield because he just went in there on the 18th. Joel Armia and Cedric Parquet with an undisclosed injury. It's a mystery. How quaint! But what's also quaint is Rem Pitlick's been okay. In 3 games as a member of the Montreal Canadiens, number 32, if I'm remembering correctly. 2 points, 1 goal, 1 assist. He got an assist on a fairly pretty goal the other night, which helped the Montreal Canadiens finish off the Dallas Stars, and maybe their best game of the whole season. What was it, like 5-3? I think it was a pretty good game by Montreal. They kicked their butts. Felt like these two teams played in the Cup final before, but I don't think so. It just felt like it. But Pitlick definitely having an overall career season. Did very well with Minnesota, 13 total points in 23 games. That's actually not bad. But the talk with him was, it's just he's kind of stuck in the middle, The Wild had players in the past like that, or guys that were quad A, like they have to be, like so many, there were so many, Sam Honest, who I just loves to death. He has to play in the top 6, and he just wasn't good enough to crack the top 6. And that's kind of the conversation with Rem Pitlick as well, where other guys like Dean Evison and Ryan Hartman were looked on as a top 6 type of guy coming into the league, and they adjusted their game a bit. Dean Evison many years ago was meant to be a top 6 type of guy, but wasn't going to crack that lineup. Because he just wasn't up to par with the typical top 6. And wound up changing his game a bit so he could play on the third line. And that's the talk with Rem Pitlick as well. But I think Pitlick is definitely NHL material. You've seen it. And he could certainly play top 6 for the Montreal Canadiens. He's been playing center, which is pretty damn cool. He looked good. He looked good with Montreal the other night with the Dallas Stars, and good luck to him. I'm a fan. Yeah, it was a 5-3 game. About their best game of the season. Montreal 1-3 in their last 4, with the New Jersey game being postponed because it would have been played in Montreal. They've played like 19 road games in a row, basically, and it'll get to that point coming to Minnesota on the 24th, and then they have a home stretch, which hopefully they'll play. I hope. It doesn't say postponed yet, so come on, Canada, open up, let's play, please. Please, we want to get things back to normal again, at least in terms of playing games, that kind of normal. Go ahead, wear your mask, do you do this, do that, your COVID protocol, it is what it is. Because obviously, Canada's going to be strict about it, and it is what it is. Minnesota, though, will finish 2-1 in 3 games versus Chicago and Montreal. So it's an original 6 party, basically, for the Wild this week. An original 6 trip and all that. So there's a few other topics I better get to, which were kind of meant to be in. You could argue they were meant to be in the first segment, but I figured get the game reviews out of the way first. Some of you will notice, depending on how long it takes to go through the podcasting applications, some of them it doesn't, I don't know, like the Apple Podcasts is weird. Some of them it's showing like old logos for shows that were around years ago where they changed the logo, and other things like Google Podcasts, Podman, it should be all updated, but it's not. But at the time you're listening, you will notice there is a new logo for Brave the Wild. I want to thank Pavel Bennett of MNW Prospects for that, as of course Pavel changed the logo for MNW Prospects to Young Guns. It's Young Guns. It's still MNW Prospects when it comes to the Twitter account, but it's called Young. But Young Guns is the name now, and the logo is different. Brave the Wild's got like a strong, heroic-looking guy opening up his shirt like Superman, and it's got the Wild logo, and it's got a hockey stick and everything. Pretty cool, kind of that Superman look. And thank you so much, Mr. Pavel Bennett out of Czechia, as they call it now. And I hope I'm saying that correctly, and I'm not irritating you at all. Really want to thank you, Pavel, if you're listening, for the logo. It looks great. Pretty cool, creative idea. Because sometimes I'm creative, and sometimes it's just my mind just goes blank when it comes to graphics. I don't know. Sometimes I'm looking for something, and then it's always different. And it's like I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. Everybody's mind is different when it comes to that kind of thing. The other topics, I talked about Rem Pitlick, the new logo, and the other topics I did get to. So that should wrap that up. Let's look at the prospects a bit. Again, I talked about the controversial goal. Let's open up with the Iowa Wild. That would be like if somebody says it way too fast. Nice little game last night for Iowa, 4-3 win. Mason Shaw. There's somebody named Mason Shaw. Perhaps you've heard of me, right? I'm just imagining him saying that. Hat trick for Mason Shaw last night against the Milwaukee Admirals, the former team of Dean Evison, of course, when he worked for the National Predators organization under Assistant General Manager Paul Fenton. That sounds... Oh, yeah, it does. Okay, so Eric Stahl, another name that sounds familiar. 5 points in 4 games. He's kind of getting primed up for the Olympics. Eric Stahl's going to play in the Olympics. He looks good in the AHL. He could probably still score at the NHL level, but not at a high clip. But still, he would dominate the AHL at this stage. He can still do it at 36 years of age. He's just about Minnesota in Thunder Bay, Ontario. He'll be playing for Canada. It's just kind of funny. 36-year-old Eric Stahl. Good luck, though. I mean, it should be fun. I'm sure he will be a factor for that club. Because, of course, there will be no current National Hockey League players. And, of course, it's a nice workout and audition if there are NHL clubs that may still be interested in picking up the wily veteran for the postseason. Montreal went to the Cup final last year with Eric Stahl on the roster and got their butts kicked by Tampa. But they got there. Sorry. Marco Rossi added another point, 26 on the season. Hanging in there. A couple points this past week, pardon me. But Mason Shaw with a 4-point game last night. That's the start of the game. It's just like, duh. Of course, he was absolutely dominant. It was so cool. Dakota Mermis added a point with 8 now. But Mason Shaw was definitely the prospect of the week when it comes to the Iowa Wild. There's just no question about that. He's 22, so he's still got time. And he has had a little cup of coffee in the NHL so far. We'll see. And he's a gritty guy who can play in the bottom six. That's the good part. I can see him making it to the NHL because of that reason, where he doesn't have to, like a Sam Honest had to be in the top six to make it to the NHL. Adam Beckman has to be in the top six to make it to the NHL. And the skill level is there. Adam Beckman's for real. And I do think he will skate regularly for the Minnesota Wild in the future. Who was in the... Yeah, Punter Jones continues to get better and better in 5 games now. He's at 2.77 goals against average. He had missed some games, but he's been around. Zane McIntyre's been the main goaltender for Iowa. Had a solid game last night. Not great. He's given up about 3 goals a game and a save percentage right around 90, so kind of league average, unfortunately for him. But it could be worse. Bryce Misley's been skating. He's been skating for Iowa thus far in 4 games, though no points. So, and then the Iowa Heartlanders, the other Iowa, which is really funny. They've actually been winning games now without Bryce Misley, which is kind of funny because Misley was one of their top players, I thought. Misley had 20 points for that club. Chris Bennett's been skating for the Iowa Wild, so it's Iowa or Iowa. So I better just say Heartlanders or Wild. Iowa, Heartlanders, Iowa Wild. Heartlanders have been playing a little better, which is nice. Corbin Kaspersky has been pretty damn good. He's had some good games recently and has helped the Iowa Heartlanders play better, allowing only about 2 goals a game in 8 games. He's definitely been a nice find for that club. 93, almost 94 goals against average. 25 years of age though. China Township, Michigan. China Township. Interesting. Wrap your head around that one. The guy who'd been the main goalie, Trevin Kozlowski or Hunter Jones. Kozlowski's from Santa Clarita, California. Cool. And Hunter Jones, I think he's still under... Nope, he's 21. I thought he was under 20. 21 years of age. So, but, you know, he's been playing better, much better in Iowa than in... He's been playing much better for the Iowa Wild versus the Iowa Heartlanders, which is kind of funny. I better keep moving here so we can get to that major fan interaction segment and let that carry the show from here on. Apologize for the babbling. But, you know, it's good to look at these guys, of course. Hovanov has been scratched ever since. He's still stuck at 6 games and 1 goal. Whew. Oh, come on, Hovey. Breaks my heart because I'm a fan. Ivan Lodnia. I got to mention this. Here goes my babbling again. He's just a nothing at the AHL level. It took him, I mean, he's had 18 total games in the AHL. He has 1 goal. Chicago Wolves, he's finally scored a goal. And he's got 12 games in, and what the heck, Ivan Lodnia? He has no chance. It's too bad. So we're not really missing out on that one. Apologize if that sounds jerky, but we're not missing out. College rank, Sam Henches, finally been playing. He's now at 9 points in 7 games. 4 of those are goals. Very, very, very good St. Cloud State team. But there's obviously another player on that club that may excite Wild fans a bit more. Connor DeWeer's still been skating with Minnesota in the bottom 6, in fact, the bottom 3, ultimately. But he's been doing damn good. Jack McBain's still at 24 points in 18 games. Let's just keep moving. Nikita Nesterenko, 16 points in 21 games for Boston College. Really nice to hear what he's been up to. First off, it seems like every year he gets a little bit weaker. What the heck? Only 10 points in 17 games. I don't know. And he can't stay healthy either. So I don't know if Firstoff's going to make it to the NHL. That's just how I see that. Marshall Warren adding the points now. He's now at a career high in college. In only 21 games, 13 points. Marshall Warren has been adding a bit more offense as he's had some very solid, stellar defense for Boston College. But also, there is an offensive capability. People do bring it up often. He's definitely a damn good skater as well. 13 points, career high for the now junior in Boston College. Marshall Warren, Boston College. Pavel Novak is absolutely dominating the WHL right now. He's now at 40 points in 29 games, 24 assists, 16 goals, and he's a plus 14 for the Kelowna Rockets. Really love what Pavel Novak is doing. Looking like a really good 5th-round pick by Brackett and Guerin. Damon Hunt's stuck at 18 points, which is a career high. No, it's not. It's not a career high, but that's not much to brag about, though. Years ago, he had 20 points in 57 games. That was about 3 years ago now. Yeah, he's been slowing down in the scoring, but it's okay. He's a defenseman, and I think the points will come. Obviously, he provides a whole lot more than just scoring with that defense and the grittiness. Damon Hunt's a player a lot of people really respect. Ryan O'Rourke, the captain for the Sioux Greyhounds, OHL, and Damon Hunt's a captain as well. He now is starting to rack up the points. You're starting to see more and more offensive capability. He is absolutely on his way to a career high, almost a point a game for the left shot defenseman of the Sioux Greyhounds at the moment. Second round pick, 39th overall in 2020. He is starting to rack up the points. He's a +1 on the year, which isn't that great of a number, but sometimes that's just kind of what it is. Murat Huznadinov finally got his 5th goal a week ago, not recently, not this past week, but the week before. Still stuck at 12 points. He keeps playing and he keeps looking good out there, but no goals, no assists, which is a bummer. Nate Benoit stuck at 4 points in 30 games, just stuck there. Jasper Wallstedt, a lot of people looking forward to what he's going to do moving forward here. Again, he's at, two goals a game, less than 2 goals a game. Just keeps getting better and better and better. Having that cool shutout a few weeks back, and he has been as good of a goaltender as there is out there in the grapevines for other teams. He's one of the top goalie prospects in the NHL. Just keep doing what you're doing, Jasper. And Carson Lambeau's finally back playing again, now at 21 points in 20 games, 7 goals, 14 assists for him, plus 26 on the year. Absolutely love what he brings. He is an elite defenseman prospect. And Minnesota Wild are very happy to have him. Left shot defense, he'll be the Alex Goligoski / Ryan Suter replacement, probably, most likely in the future. I think second pairing would be that Ryan O'Rourke. And you're going to be in good shape on the left side. There's no question about that. Jack Pert's actually a left side as well, so that's interesting. I keep thinking he's right, but he's not. He's left. So that's going to be real interesting to see how things shape up there. Because, boy, oh boy, you got some unbelievable prospects on the left side for the Minnesota Wild right now going forward. Jack Pert, 11 points. He's a power play specialist type. 9 assists on the year, power play quarterback type of a defenseman. Only a freshman, and he's almost a point-a-game player for St. Cloud State. Again, 18 years of age from Grand Rapids, Minnesota. Grand Rapids, Minnesota. He was Mr. Hockey, and he's looking like Mr. Hockey again at the moment. Kamloops Blazers, that would be Acadian Bankier, he's been gradually trickling in the points, but not at a point-a-game clip anymore, as he's been falling a little bit behind that. He was closer to it earlier in the season, and in fact, he's at a slower pace than he was last year, but way ahead of 2 years ago, of course. 30 points in 30 games for him. Kyle Most, as I always say that like that, lower scoring defenseman, again, at a slower pace in points than last season, but definitely been. But the plus-minus is unbelievable. I believe I talked about this last week. The plus-minus difference, it helps when the team is playing better, but it also shows he's part of the reason why they're playing better. -5 last year, plus 24 this year. I mean, wow. That's a nice, so obviously there is an improvement to be talked about. And Josh Pilar was traded from the Kamloops Blazers to the Saskatoon Blades, has not played for them yet. He had 31 points in 29 games. They were thanking him, basically. Love those Kamloops Blazers jerseys. So he will no longer be a teammate, Josh Pilar, with Acadian Bankier. But obviously still property of the Minnesota Wild, with the 4th round, 127th overall pick in 2021. Josh Pilar has not skated for the Saskatoon Blades as of yet. Also in the WHL. Still, thankfully, not traded from Minnesota, just traded from his WHL club going forward. Okay, so let's take a quick break and come back for some elite fan interaction, fun conversation.
So I think that we have, and I have certainly seen this reflected on my @JZolga Twitter account. I think we have, and it's fair, fan bases in this town that like players, certain players. Mm-hmm. You should. You buy jerseys, you go to games, you're told they're great. But I'm going to make just a prediction right now. I think Fiala is going to stay, and Dumba gets moved. Because we're seeing defensemen emerge. And you just said what I think is the absolute key thing. And by the way, I like Dumba, so this is in no way me begging for him to be traded. But what you said is so true. And you can't just replace them. Kevin Fiala can score goals. Dumba can do a lot, but again, because guys are hurt right now, we're starting to see guys emerge, and it's very interesting, empowering, and important to note that today, Kalen Addison ran the first power play. Dumba was on the second. My point being is, I wonder, because these guys are smart, and they also are not going to keep players because the fans might be upset. Dex, I am beginning to think that if Fiala and Boldy continue this chemistry, there is a much better chance that they say, if Kevin Fiala goes, who replaces him? Because, I mean, you can't just say, oh, we can get guys to score goals. This is a different league now. And having guys that can naturally score goals, they're hard to find. That's my prediction.
And we are back here on Brave the Wild. What you just heard was Judd Zulgad, of course, talking about the debate, Kevin Fiala versus Matt Dumba, as we'll get into that very, very shortly. Brave the Wild fan interaction segments. Really appreciate what all of you brought to the table this week and in the past weeks, but this week especially. Vig It, V-I-G-I-T is an application that can be on, that's the two different words, of course, V-I-G-I-T, on Apple and Google Podcasts, or should I say Apple and Google Play stores, or phones or devices. You get the idea. It's basically fantasy sports betting with real scores and everything. Social media for sports bettors. You could post about your picks, see what others are saying about games. Vig It Betting League is a month-long betting competition to see who the best sports bettor is over the course of a month. Free-to-play sportsbook, bet free coins, win real prizes. Betting stance, there is great public information. There's great public information available on the Vig It Lifeline movement where the public is betting. Again, you are not using real money. It is like fantasy, basically. But you could use it as a cheat sheet if you really wanted to bet one way or another. But there's definitely a fun side to all this. You can bet free coins, win real prizes, like I was saying earlier. So it's kind of like the NBC Predictor application, in a way. But this one, you could argue, is much more widespread. You can kind of go all over the place. Also, Crypto.com. Encourage you to download that application. You can trade cryptocurrencies of all kinds. Obviously, there's Bitcoin, there's Dogecoin, there's Shiba, which I really like. SHIB is the ticker. My coffee maker is bored right now. You can hear that. I love that. It's funny. But that's what you do. Crypto.com. There's a link in the show description. Click on that. It'll show that I referred you, and you get $25 put in your account. What do you think of that? Jump on board, and that would help this show greatly if you were willing to do that. Please do. Crypto.com. Highly recommended. Fan interaction at Brave the Wild, at Brave the Wild. The logo is already there. It may or may not show up in your podcast feed at the moment. Now I better actually click on the right thing. My mind is just blanking here. Okay. Hashtag BTWMN. Include that in your conversation, and that's how we can get things really rolling. Brave the Wild, blah, blah, blah. That's interesting. Oh, that was, why is that out of order? Oh, okay, because I didn't press latest. Dummy. Every time I think I know what I'm doing, I don't know what I'm doing. Brian Herrera did I not watch that? Oh my God, I don't think I did. I apologize. I'm tempted to click on it now, but maybe not when I'm doing the show. I apologize, Brian. I gotta check that out. Brave the Wild. It is about Psycho Stick Mega Man official music video. I'll get back to that. I am really sorry. I feel like a jerk. Okay, here we go. Due to cap issues, I can't believe it. 15 comments on this one. That's pretty nice. Due to cap issues, you could only keep one, Dumba or Fiala. So here's the main theme of the episode, now that we finally got to it. So, yep, but had to get the other stuff in there as well, of course, the prospects, the games played and such. Here it is. So should I give my opinion first? I think I will, if that's okay. That's usually what shows do, and then you go to the other guys. Then go to all of you out there. I'm with Judd Zulgad. Basically, Declan Goff, and I should have probably kept that going on there. His argument was basically that, Dumba's got the A on his chest, so he's got a bit of a bigger role on the team in that sense. And it's harder to replace that in a way. I'm leaning towards, and this is him being very objective, Declan Goff being very objective because he's a big Fiala fan like myself. And I like Dumba too, but I do think Fiala, like Judge Olgad said, kind of was basically, he's more irreplaceable, I think, than Matt Dumba because of guys like Kalen Addison. And look at all these other defenseman prospects in the system. Yes, they play on the left side, but other guys can move around if need be. We've seen defensemen play on their offside and such if need be because they're too good to not be here. But Kalen Addison playing on the number one power play, that's a sign. Unfortunately, the results haven't been there yet with Kalen Addison, which is starting to frustrate me a tiny bit. But we'll have to wait and see, I suppose, how that continues to develop. Dumba, see, off the mic, Derek Felska also had a really, really good response, saying basically that Dumba, where is it? I guess I don't have it. Okay, yeah. He was saying, I agree with Tom. He thinks Dumba is pretty expendable. I get why people like him, but he's not worth $6 million per season. That was just part of the conversation there. That's how I see it as well. I don't think he's worth $6 million a season. Fiala, it's natural goal scorers are hard to find, and now you have a legitimate chemistry with Fiala at the end of the day. See, Dumba, his improvement has been very minor. He might be on pace for 40 points this year, which is better than it's been. But generally speaking, it's been minor. Where Fiala, you get Fiala going, he might be an 80-point player. And I think that's harder to find, especially, again, you have so many prospects in the grapevine that could really help this team for many years that could end up being better players. Obviously, leadership is an intangible thing, and everybody appreciates it. But what did Kevin Fiala do last week when he had those issues with the penalties? His behavior, his attitude, his maturity told me that there could be an alternate captain coming his way someday. It could happen. And it's not just to like, screw you, Dumba, give me that A. Boom, right here, Give me that A and then slap it on Fiala's chest. Of course they're not going to go about it that way, but it could end up a situation where, Fiala ends up being an alternate captain, where Dumba ultimately is traded in the not-too-distant future. It may be way off. Fiala may end up being gone. Maybe, because somebody is so infatuated with Fiala, they offer a ton. Maybe you go that direction. Maybe you get a younger version of Fiala coming back your direction. That's intriguing as well, and that could very much happen because there aren't goal scorers everywhere. You do have Matt Boldy, but the thing is, Boldy needs somebody like a Fiala. Fiala needs somebody like a Boldy. They help each other in a lot of ways. Boldy is probably more of an independent, natural scorer than Fiala, which is one thing to talk about, which says a hell of a lot about Boldy, honestly, because he has a natural ability to score and make others better. Fiala, though, I think it's there as well. He's obviously got a hell of a passing game, hell of skill as well, great skills as well as he set up Boldy's goal. So it's a good combination, and I want them together as long as possible. Now let's get to the comments as I've babbled long enough. Brian Herrera says, I know it isn't popular with fans, but Dumba offers more than Fiala. Yep, see, locker room leader, and has really shown that he's all in here and wants to lead and win. The positive influence on the room, his and Brodeen's pairing being one of the top in the league, makes it hard to not keep him. It's a good argument, and that's similar to what Declan was saying as well. Again, and Declan probably likes Fiala more than Dumba, as it's just a general thing, but it's a good argument. It's a good argument, the locker room leader, and also the major thing, like you said there, and Declan mentioned, was that Dumba absolutely wants to stay. Dumba wants to stay where Fiala, you just don't know. What if he doesn't want to stay? I think he does, but do I know? No, I don't. Here comes Matt Dumba or Fiala, one of the two, or hopefully it's the. Hopefully it's just the Wild in general. We're coming for you, Colorado. We're coming for you. Okay. I'm weird, and I apologize, but I'm supposed to be weird, right? Ty Sandstrom, welcome back. Great to hear from you. He says, I prefer to keep Fiala. He provides the Wild with bona fide scoring depth. Yep, that's how I see. Dumba is number 3, maybe number 4, in my mind, on his team's defense depth chart. In a perfect world, they lose neither of them, but this world is far from perfect. Yeah, it'd be nice to keep both. It'd be nice to keep both. Hi, Matt Dumba. There he goes. He's skating by. No, that's Marcus Foligno. He's a big guy. Big old freight train coming through. Greenway's not much of a freight train, is he? He kind of got freight trained by that, by that McDermott. I know. It was disappointing, though. It was disappointing. But no, yeah, I wish we could keep both. But obviously, Fiala's going to want to get paid. Dumba, I don't think he's worth $6. I don't know how much of a pay cut he would take when the time comes. I think, what has he got, a year after this one, right? Where Fiala is a UFA now. Yep. Ray Prubin. Actually, I think he's restricted, but yeah, anyhow, still free agent, still got to sign him. Ray Prubin says, well, that is a tough call. I do believe that we have too much money tied up on the defensive side of the puck. See, that's where I lean. That's where I lean, definitely. And yes, as I'm kind of distracting myself here, yeah, Fiala is, it's arbitration eligible restricted free agent again. So yeah, that's what I thought. You got the little hammer next to the RFA. That's what I thought. He's too young to be a complete UFA, where Dumba would be a UFA after 23-24. He does have 1 year after this at 6 per. Get back to what Ray said. I apologize, Ray. That was not nice of me. I'll go right back. He says, well, that is a tough call. I do believe we have too much money tied up on the defensive side of the puck. Yes. But yep, it's a well thought out argument and conversation. That's why it got me going to check. Given the cap recapture over the next 3 years, so if Fiala can be signed to a reasonable contract, I've moved Dumba. That's where I lean. That we have a lot of money put in defense, and Kalen Edison is on the rookie scale. Whoops. Everything's moving too quick here. It's a good one, though. Good conversation. Nick Lane says, I was thinking about this last night. If they can get Fiala to agree to something like $21 million 4 years, then I'd want him. But if Dumba takes a discount on his contract and goes to 24 for 6 years, then I want him. Fiala has higher potential, but Dumba is a better leader. Yeah, that's a good back and forth there. Interesting thoughts there. Dylan simply says Fiala. Disgrace says, I'm generally a Fiala guy, and this might be against the spirit of the question a bit, but I do think Dumba would be more willing to take a hometown discount, which would be really nice with our cap issues. That's part of it, yeah. That is part of it. Randy Thumstrom says Fiala. Tom Haynes says Fiala, and it ain't close. Shannon says Fiala. Wild Fan Club PTY says Fiala. KK97 GTR. And he continues with, hard to find scorers like him, and Minnie has some good defensive depth. Yep, I mean, that is where I lean. Kyle Marlowe has Fiala scoring a goal, which tells you exactly where he leans. And, yep, AJ has Dumba in the picture with a big smile going, oh, he must have saw some kind of a funny replay there. Steve Snyder says Fiala 100%. Ruby says Fiala. So that closes, or is that it? Is there more? One more. Jungles says Fiala. Addison is the same skill set and cheaper than Dumba. See, that's the other side about the money, too. The Addison versus Dumba. So, again, hopefully Addison picks it up. Now, let's get to where Derek got things going here. He says, got a question on your mind with hashtag HDM22 coming up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Hockey Day Minnesota, that's right. Ask Brave the Wild, just tag it and ask as many questions as you wish. And yes, please do. Derek says, folks that chose the high school matches for Hockey Day Minnesota 2022 chose not to go with local high school programs, Mankato East or Mankato West. Yeah, because it is in Mankato in their listing of televised games, going with Metro teams instead. Do you think this is unfair? A little bit. Yeah, I think that would have been nice. Yeah, I think that's a little bit unfair. And why not, Why not? It's a bummer. I do feel bad about that. Yep, and this is good, too. I'm glad he brought this up. I'm glad Derek brought this up. Former Minnesota Wild defenseman Nate Prosser just retired after a 12-year NHL career. What was your favorite memory of his time at the Wild? And yes, I'm glad you did bring this up because I rudely didn't mention Nate Prosser retiring last week. So this, my favorite memory again is those Hockey Day Minnesotas. As yep, you knew that was going to be part of it. Those game-winning goals and those big nights, but also just in general. I have an intriguing memory very early because I was having a show with Neil Nate Dog Thiesing. That might have been the State of the Wild 2021, because Prosser played with the Wild in the beginning very early, and he was actually scoring some points at the very beginning of his NHL career when he first came up. And it was kind of funny how they were him and Nick Backus got into it. Obviously, they're both from like that area, like Elk River and such. So there was like a rivalry between their schools. And Nate Prosser was getting up and, you think of him as the nicest guy in the world, and he didn't swear and stuff. He swore that night, though. So it's just kind of funny. He was getting right up in Nick Backus' face saying, F you, Backus, F you, F you, F you. And then Backus was like, okay, whatever, man, It was kind of funny, because back then Backus was obviously a really high-end player, a physical SOB high-end player, both Minnesota guys from that Elk River area. It was just funny seeing Nate Prosser go at him. So that's an old memory I have, and I was mentioning it on State of the Wild 2011. And, of course, again, it gives me fond memories of Neil Nate Duck Thiesing as well, because we were laughing about it, having fun. Derek Felska says, if the Minnesota Wild's power play was a video game console, which one would it be and why? The power play, huh? Ooh, the Virtual Boy. No. Maybe the N64, where it looks good at times, but sometimes it's disappointing. Yeah, because I didn't like the N64 at all. But that's a secret. Yeah, I hated the controller. I hated the the games looked okay at the time, of course. But, I've never been a big polygon guy. I'm just old school sprites. Just give me the sprites and such. Like let's just say Colorado is the NES, man. Like most people, what are you talking about? PS5, Xbox One. NES, that's the greatest game system ever. Colorado's is the NES. Minnesota, it's like the N64, Maybe sometimes we look pretty a little bit, but, and other times it's like mediocre at best. So that would be the reason. This is what I'd like to call a juicy rebound. That's funny, too, how it was like perfect timing. Colorado Avalanche were showing their power play against Minnesota. And literally Colorado was doing it. Colorado Avalanche Twitter. So it was perfect timing. Like, yep. And I was saying it right. I was saying NES. Yeah, it's pretty juicy looking power play there. Derek Felska says, some NHL experts like Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman have suggested the Minnesota Wild should be interested in Philadelphia Flyers' Claude Giroux. Yeah, that would be cool. How interested would you be if you are Wild General Manager Bill Guerin, and should we avoid deals with $1 Chuck Fletcher? Well, it kind of depends. You know how Chuck Fletcher is notorious for bad trades, when it comes to the postseason or nearing the postseason. So maybe not. Maybe we shouldn't avoid it. It kind of depends on how much they're looking for, honestly. The one thing is, he certainly has dropped off a little bit. He is 34 already. Man, it seems like yesterday he was like a star. He had a 100-point season in 17-18, and every year he was like a 70 point type of guy. He's at 80 points. This year he is at, he hasn't dropped off that much. I was looking at the wrong thing. 31 points in 36 games. Okay, I thought it was 19. That was his assists. So, stupid me. He is a guy who's probably about a 65, 70 point guy. Maybe 75 at this stage of his career. Of course, I'd be interested in he'd be the number one center. He would be a big help. It depends on how much you have to give up, that type of thing. The typical general manager type response, I suppose. $1 Chuck. See, I see him as the kind of guy you could rip off this time of year. But then again, usually he's the guy trying to go get over aggressive to get some other veteran player. So that's the one thing. Maybe you give him Dumba or something, and then he goes ape leap and gives you way too much because he drafted Dumba. So look at it that way. But yeah, I'm interested in Claude Giroux, no question about that. So to answer that part of it, Derek says, should the Wild try to take a run before the cap crunch hits, or should it be all about the long game with this organization? What do you prefer? What do you think this club will do? I feel like they want to make a run before the cap crunch hits. I feel like they want to go for it without selling the farm, that kind of thing. Because obviously you can't sell the farm because of those are the more affordable players. That could be big time factors in the next 2 to 4 years or so, and beyond, of course. But then again, then their salaries might go up after that. obviously, depending on how well they play. I think they're going to try to make a run right now this year. They're going to try their best because they have a shot without going all in. It's going to be kind of like, they're going to try without going overboard. That's what I believe the club is going to do. That's how I see Bill Guerin at the moment. They probably will make a move, but if I have to say gun to the head right now, they go absolutely wild or absolutely long. They'll go long. But it's going to, otherwise it's either, so basically they're not going to go crazy trading away prospects and draft picks. But at the same time, they will make a significant move, in my opinion, to try to do something, depending on how much they need to give up. And then Johan says, with Addison playing well and getting experience, does this mean Dumba becomes more likely to trade to free up cap space due to the buyout crunch that is coming? Or is his contract too big to trade? It might be. It kind of depends, again, how much the other team likes him, that kind of thing. I mean, maybe Upchuck Fletcher can do it. Maybe Upchuck Fletcher is a guy you can make a deal with to get Dumba. It's an expensive contract, but it's not too long. It's 1 year after this one, so it's not a major commitment. You're not stuck for 10 years, 10 years, 10 million or something. You give contracts like that to Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, not to obviously other players out there that are decent. Like Nurse making $9 million is insane. I think good defenseman, but he's not a $9 million player. But I think they have to do something like that. They probably won't trade Dumba until the summer, though. Probably not, because the whole locker room thing. That's probably why I'm leaning towards the long deal. But I don't think they trade Dumba until the summer. Otherwise, again, it depends on who you're getting back. Like if you can actually get a Claude Giroux for a Dumba or something like that, crazy like that, that could make things very interesting. No question about that. If that's in the cards, that could be a very interesting one. Looks like he had a reply. A couple people did. Okay, so Brad Ratkin responded to the Derek Felska conversation about will they play the long game and all that. Brad says, play long game or do enough to keep 97 interested in staying and not have him pull a Gabrick Panarin. Fill in the blank with other players who left fly over countries to play out east or in Los Angeles or tax income free in Texas or Florida. Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of like that, yeah. Yep, either, show that you're doing something, I think, unless we're playing so phenomenal. But right now we're in the lower half of the West, so that's the other conversation there. Oh, yeah, and Derek shared that one. Yep, so Jay Bushy. So who responded to Johan here? Let me check. It shows there's a reply. That's interesting. Okay, here. Okay, Red says... great call, and I think Dumba for sure could be moved at this point. I think so. And then Johan responds with his contract is a bit expensive, but not that much left. Yeah, see, it's only like a year and a half. Will be interesting to see what happens, and I really don't want to have to see him gone. Yep. Yeah. Jay Bushy, welcome back, says, with Eck coming back this weekend, do you think Bill Guerin should consider picking up a rental center around the trade deadline to play with Fiala and Boldy? Yeah, I mean, that could be exactly what happens. I do think there's going to be something like that. A significant move without, like, a Jack Eichel type of move, or a kablooey, 9, whatever, like tons and tons of people involved. There's going to be a move that's going to involve, something, but it's not going to be give up the farm type of move. Brian Herrera with 2 here to wrap it up. Time for 2 more, right? That's Bob Hagan, Minnesota Vikings. Says, I know it isn't popular with fans, but Dumba offers more than Fiala. Oh, yeah, I read these, but I'll read it anyway. Again, locker room leader has shown he's all in here and wants to lead and win. The positive influence on the room, his and Brodeen's pairing being one of the top of the league makes it hard to not keep him. And then Brian Herrera says, what wild player do you think can beat Dumba in a Dance Dance Revolution? Wild player can beat Dumba in a Dance Dance Revolution. Why do I have a strange feeling? There's a crazy underdog out there, but maybe you wouldn't think he is. Kirill Kaprizov might surprise people. obviously with that great skating ability and that energy he has, could be Kirill Kaprizov. Because I think Dumba would be a favorite in that conversation. I think I think Kirill Kaprizov might be able to do it. Obviously, the competitiveness, the grittiness, and everything. I think he could bring that as well. There's something there. Me, I am not a dancer, and if anybody ever asks me to, I'm gonna say, give me $100 bill, and maybe I'll dance for like 1 second. I'm just not gonna dance for anybody. It's not my cup of tea. But not that it's about me at all. Dumba and Kaprizov, I think, would be duking it out for that championship, in my opinion. That's a cool, fun little thing there. With that said, thank you guys so freaking much for making this a really fun show. Thank you very much. The show is going to evolve with how things go, different conversations. Obviously, when there's a lot of games and there's a lot of news, that's going to be a big thing. But of course, if there's a lot of fan interaction to go with it, it'll just be a longer show. Like sometimes that's how it's going to be. If there's a lot to do, I'll try to shrink out the babbling part, so I try not to babble as much in those type of situations, so the show isn't 2 hours long, because most people probably don't want that. Like maybe a little over an hour is okay. Maybe an hour 20 minutes is like the absolute max, unless it's State of the Wild or season preview. Those can go on for 2 sometimes, because it's a major, major thing, and you don't have to listen to it all at once. But thank you guys so much. Please tell your friends about the show. Share the show on Twitter, Facebook. Write a positive rating on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or Audible. Those are the 3 applications that let you do that. Please do. It really helps. Those of you that have, thank you so much. And anybody considering it, please do. Only takes a minute or so. Even just clicking on the 5-star and that's it. If you want to just do that and not comment, that's fine. It's a 5. That literally takes like 2 seconds. Otherwise, again, thank you guys so much for being a part of this show. And you make it so much better. Thank you so much, Derek. Shout outs to MNW Prospects, of course. I'm very proud to be a part of that page. Pavel Burnett, who made the logo for Brave the Wild. Thank you so much. The new logo. Pavel Burnett from Czechia. Justin Baki from Mankato. Yep, I bet he's excited about what's going on. Brandon Quast is going to a Wild game very soon. I believe it's the Chicago game, right, Brandon? So Friday night. So, yep, it's the first time in a long time for him, with bringing his wife and all that, and his kids for the first time. So, congratulations, Brandon. Enjoy yourself. He writes for MNW Prospects, a really nice guy as well. It's a great group of guys. Chad Walski's written for it before. I think he still does. Otherwise, he's a major admin with Minnesota Wild Global. Scott Cavendish, Chad Walski, Michael Fick, David Abraham, Kathy Main. Some really nice people on there that I highly recommend. I hope I'm not forgetting anybody, and I deeply apologize if I am. Minnesota Wild Nation, Patrick Turner, cool guy as well. I believe he lives in Florida, but huge Wild fan, keeps up with the page, does a great job, and goes on Twitter as well. Thank you guys so much for making me a part of your day, making me a part of your posts on Facebook, this and that, those of you that have done that, and Twitter and such. Thank you so much. Otherwise, hope you have a wonderful week. Wild, stay healthy, get out there and kick some butt against those Blackhawks, eh?